not my skill set, nor do I want to learn it.
Sometimes, because I put up stuff which I kind of test
in the wilderness. I don't know if I was the best one to teach them that. However, and although it was a really good
that when you said, I was like, oh,
the baby out with the bathwater.
I do know where that.
So for me, rather than doing something half-heartedly or like just half.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning. How are you doing today?
I am doing wonderful. I am matching with your background.
We have good taste.
Yes.
Anyways, welcome to the Time to Shine Happiness Show. I mean, we are so excited that you're here. We're happy that you're here because we want to share inspiration, joy, and help you, our audience, to connect with what makes you happy, what lights you up, what makes your heart sing. And I'm one of your hosts, Barbara Ellison. I am a life transition mentor, and I work with late career business professionals who are struggling with loss of identity, declining health, or financial uncertainty as they're facing retirement. And here's my fabulous co-host. And she's also the producer. So thank you so much. Barbara J. Beckley, has a matter of.
See, you're getting it. Everybody's getting the hang of that. So my name is Barbara J. Beckley, and I am a purpose and visibility consultant. I really help just, entrepreneurs, business owners, people, content creators that want to really get their visibility on video when it comes to having their own branding show. So I really been working a lot on what I really want to hone into when it comes about visibility. And I say visibility like this because visibility is an umbrella of a lot of things. So I had to kind of niche it down and say, okay, what do I really want to just work with business owners and entrepreneurs? What I really want to do. And I really like helping, coaching, mentoring, all that good stuff, just to make sure that you are being the light of the world, that lighthouse of the world. Right, Barbara?
Right. You know what? And exactly. And that's exactly what we talk about. And if you're just tuning in, stay tuned today, because chances are you know the word mindset. And mindset is so much a part of everything.
Yes.
Whether you are looking to expand your skills and your knowledge, or if you're trying to grow, if you're trying to network or collaborate, mindset impacts all of it.
Yes.
All of it. Because it's how you think about you, how you think about what you're doing, how you're thinking about who you are becoming. That's huge.
Yeah.
Who are you becoming?
Yes. Oh, yeah, you got to take a little breather on that. Who you are becoming. And then, like you said, Barbara, embracing, first of all, who you are. Let's first start with that, because everybody always wants to be in a certain area of their lives as themselves. And sometimes it might not happen the way you want it to happen. So let's, first of all, really celebrate where you are right now. Even if it's just some little steps that you've taken in your business or, even your personal life. And at that point, just say to yourself, you know what? I need to have the mindset to always have a growth mindset.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. And because it's about being a lifelong learner.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I don't remember who it was. I think Zig Ziglar or somebody famous like that. And they just kind of put it bluntly and said, if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah.
And that applies to everything.
Mm-hmm. And it's when you say that, I was just going to add to what you said. If you're not growing, you're dying. And I tell people, I said, if you're not experiencing something different, or trying to experience something, or trying to see what can just open that mind a little bit more, then why are you even, you're just kind of here. You're really just here. You're just kind of, exactly. And that's not fun. I mean, we have so many things that's being offered to us, and so many things that we can learn and grow. I mean, we've been, Barbara, you've been here for over, 7 years. I've been here for over 50 something years, going in 60 in a little bit. And you know how much stuff between the both of us that we have learned, and we're still continuing to learn. Yes.
You're right. And
Yeah.
and I think the biggest thing is stay open to new ideas.
Yeah.
And and this is going to sound a little bit mean, but don't despise where the idea came from.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes, I mean, a kid who is like, who's he? Who are they to tell me what to do? And then all of a sudden they come up with this great idea and you go, oh, yike.
Yes.
Totally new approach.
Mm-hmm.
Totally new approach.
Yeah.
Because like young people, they think differently. They've been brought up with social media. I was not. I mean, we didn't. I'm going to age myself. We didn't have social media. I mean, when I was a kid, we didn't even have it. We started out with a party line phone. And
I know.
We have a phone on my watch. So, yeah, I mean,
yeah. Just from where it was, every time we talk about, what we knew then and then now what's going on, it just really just blows my mind where we're at right now. I mean, like I always tell people, I said, we didn't have computers. We didn't have none of that. I said, the closest thing we had if you want to say to computer when I was, younger, probably was a telephone and the TV. I don't know. That was kind of computer in our mind, TV and telephone. And some people, if you go back further, for some people older up in age, they didn't even have that. So came. So now you have a phone, you have everything here. Everything here.
Everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Your whole business is here.
Oh, I know. That's what I thought. I'm going to tell myself. I was just out having my once a month afternoon splurge where I go and have a pedicure done.
Oh.
And as I was sitting there, I was doing some stuff for work. I was connecting with you. I was doing a few other things, and it was like, oh yeah. I mean, this is the way to do business. And it's that freedom. Yes. And that's where you have to get curious about what you can do.
Yeah.
Not have that fear of change, especially. Okay, I'm talking to us baby boomers here. You're not going to kill the computer by pushing the wrong button. They're made to be. They're made to do that. And so don't be afraid of it. If you make a mistake, so what?
So what?
And ask. I remember one time a few years ago, and I had done something to my fonts, and they were like, all right, I couldn't read what I had printed. The fonts were totally off. Mm-hmm. And I just go, and I have a big family. I walked it down the stairs and said, okay, to the room full of kids, and said, this is what is happening. Which one of you can fix this? And it was the 10-year-old. He said, oh, Grammy, I can do that for you. I went, okay, good. I now know how to do it, but the 10-year-old taught me how to do it. He said, if this happens again, do this. And so that's kind of one of the biggest things. Instead of being afraid of changing something, ask yourself, what can I learn from this?
Yes.
Because you know what? When you learn something new, guess what? You can use it as a conversation piece to talk to one of your friends. We've all been in situations where, what are we going to, I know this person, yet I don't really know this person. What are we going to talk about? Talk about something that you have just learned.
Mm-hmm.
Chances are they'll either reciprocate or say, wow, gee, aren't you brave to learn that? You've now scored brownie points for yourself.
Yeah. And you know what? And I don't have a problem when I'm having those conversations with people when I find something that I didn't know, maybe they even know, and I didn't know, and I found out by, whoever. And I'm like, see, this is my growth. I'm growing. That shows me I'm still growing in my life. And I'm so happy. So that's another thing I could add on to say, I know this. And just to take it further, Barbara, like you said, we can take that growth or whatever we learned and then tell it to somebody else, share it with somebody else.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's how we grow. And that's how we, and okay, I'm going to take it a step further. That's how we impact the world.
Yeah. And that's what we like.
This show is called the Time to Shine Happiness Show. And how that sort of came about was that this is your time to shine. This is your time to grow and to be the best version of you. Well, guess what? That comes with learning. And that comes with being open and expanding your skills and expanding your knowledge, because you cannot possibly know everything. And you don't know what you don't know until someone else tells you something that you don't know.
Yeah. And what I always say too, Barbara, no question is a dumb question. I hate that comment. I wish whoever thought of that and saying it to everybody else, everybody's saying it, I wish they would just stop that and say, oh, I hope this is not a dumb question. You know how some people start off that way. And like, don't start off that way. I stop people in the middle of it. When I even hear it coming out of their mouth, almost, Barbara, I'm like, we Xing that.
Nope. Yeah, exactly. And we mention that all the time. We say that probably every second show because it's so important.
Yes.
It is so important. So many people are so afraid of making a mistake or giving the appearance that they don't want people to think they're dumb. Well, just ask the question. Just ask the question, because then when you ask the question with no preface in front of it, just ask the question, you appear to be a person of learning, that you're open to learning something new.
Yeah. And then people will also see you being interested in whatever topic or whatever's going on. They see that you're tuned in. That's another thing. I know when people ask me questions on things, I know that they're really listening to what I'm saying or what I'm trying to give them as a gift of learning. So that really makes me feel good, because I'm like, okay, well, they're paying attention. But if people just like just sitting there saying, okay, next, or, keep it moving, then, their mind probably there, probably here, somewhere else. So sometimes it's nice to get those questions because you know that they're tuned in.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And learning is learning. It doesn't matter where it comes from, because you have to, like we talked about, you have to expand your knowledge and seek, and look for people who can mentor you or that you can mentor. It is so fun when you can share your knowledge with somebody and they'll say, how did you learn that? Well, I learned from somebody else. And it's fun when you can teach somebody something. Doesn't matter what it is. And it doesn't have to be like mindset, but that is your mindset. You have to learn your mindset. That mindset is about that I am a teacher, that I can be a teacher, if that's what you want. I don't care whether you're teaching somebody how to crochet or you're teaching somebody how to garden. It's just that openness to share what your field of expertise is. And it doesn't have to be a business. It doesn't have to be a business.
No.
Oh, well, I haven't done this. Yeah, but what have you done? You're not the only person in the world that has done what you do, what you like, that thing that you find easy to do. Like a friend of mine, her flower beds are never empty.
Wow.
Every season, she has them planted with perennials that there's new growth in every season.
Wow.
I looked at her one day and I said, how do you do that? Well, and she looked at me like I was crazy. She said, well, Barbara's just planning. I wouldn't know where to start to even plant.
Don't ask me.
Don't ask me. And yet she was expert at it. She is expert at it. And she has, and her garden is just, they have sometimes in our town, they have garden walks. She's normally in part of the garden walk. Because her house is beautiful like she has spring, summer, and fall. She doesn't do in the winter, but if she lived in Florida, she'd probably have winter flowers too.
That's what I was about to say. The whole year round, if she wasn't a different plant.
She's in the 3 seasons that are here in Chicago area, and it just amazes people that they are absolutely beautiful. I wouldn't even have a clue of where to start. She does give lessons.
She's teaching and guiding people to do. And that's what I love, because if I had let's just say if I did have a house or maybe a condo, I probably want to learn a little bit more about that. But where I'm at right now is kind of okay. I'm going to, like you said, I'm going to be open here. I have one plant.
Yeah.
And those vine plants that goes. I have that one plant, Barbara, and I have to really give myself kudos so much because, well, it used to be my husband's plant, but then we separated. So we left it. And I was like, oh, this plant's going to die because you left it with me. This is not going to work. This is probably going to last for a good maybe 2 days, right? Can you believe it's been 6 years and this plant is still?
I'm impressed.
Yeah, I am too. Every time I look at it in my living room, and then I learn how to prune it, what they call prune it or something, where you got
pruning it. Yep. Pruning it.
And I was like, and it grew back and it was, more, but there's a few times though I kind of, and I had to, talk. Now I see how people talk to plants. I was like, oh my God.
You should talk to your plants. I
started talking, especially when it was about to die. Okay, now I have to give that too. The first few weeks, because I wasn't used to the plant, and I was like, okay, first I was talking. See, this is another thing about growing. This is good for mindset. Right. If you keep putting it out there, what you can't do, or you don't want to do it, or whatever like that, you're going to get the results of that. So what happened was that plant was on the verge of just on its last leaf. Let's just put it that way. I mean, it was crumbled, everything, Barbara. And then I felt bad. I said, wait a minute. If I can't even take care of one plant, something's not right with this. I had to just change my mindset, like you said. And then I started putting, I started watering it like I supposed to, like I should have. And I put it, put some change the dirt and everything like that. Right. Barbara, after 3 days, it started coming back to life again. And now it's been 6 years. And that's because now if I would sit there, I kept saying, you know what? I don't know how to do plants. I'm not good with plants. I'm not a green thumb, like people say. That plant would have been thrown out because I would have just gave up.
And you would have just given up. Exactly. Yeah. And how many times do people do that before they really give themselves time to learn? They just give up. And that is why mindset is so, and it doesn't matter if you don't call it mindset, that fine. It doesn't matter, but it's how you think about yourself. And so often we beat ourselves up so much for the things that we're not. And we keep telling ourselves all the things we're not, instead of focusing on the things that you are. Like, so you took on a new challenge. Yeah. It's, and you really, when you thought about it now you can look back on it, it stretched your capabilities.
A lot.
Now, you're able now to brag a little. Do you do a little bragging about that plant is now 6 years old?
Yeah.
I've had it for 6 years. Doesn't that build your confidence to do something else?
Yeah. Yeah, it made me feel, like you said, it made me feel a little warm and fuzzy inside, Barbara, because I said, wow, I accomplished, not only did I let the plant still stay alive, but it's been a long time. And then I thought about all the other, this is good, because after you grow and learn and change that mindset, then this is the leap for it. You see other skills out of what you learn start being created in your life. So with me doing what I did with the plant, I know going back to the plant since we're talking about it, I've learned how to be more nurturing.
Right.
I learned how to be more patient.
Yep.
I learned how to be more appreciated for plants and for anything else in the world besides just humans. Right. For nature. So all that came out of that. So I would have missed out, just not on the fact that I kept this plant alive. I would have missed out on all those extra skills, those extra things that I needed within my life, not just dealing with the plant, but just dealing with anything. Right?
Okay, but I have to ask you this too. Don't you find that by taking care of that plant, it really makes you aware that to slow down, to pause in your life, to nurture that plant? Well, if you can nurture a plant, then don't you think you could, if somebody can nurture a plant, don't you think you can nurture a relationship?
That's what, yeah. See how it just takes off to...
It can snowball.
Yeah.
And it all promotes, so many people talk about, physical well-being, mental well-being. But you know what? Now you can say, hey, but look at how your face even lit up a little bit and said, gee, yeah, that plant is doing really well.
Yeah. Yeah, because because I'm still, every year that passed by, I'm still amazed that I still have this plant. I mean, I'm still surprised by it, Barbara. I really am. I'm like, wow, it's still there. It's still in the room. It's still nice and full. But I'm just glad that I learned, like you said, Barbara, the other lessons from it. And basically, it's talking about, like you said, flip. I always say flip. People always get me because I always say flip when people start talking negative or whatever. I said flip it. Flip it. They went, what you talking about, Bob? What do you flip? I said, flip that negative to a positive. Let's flip it, And the faster you can flip it, the better. But if you just keep on, you're going to go down that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. My girlfriend, Carol, who I think she always talks about you're either spiraling up or you're spiraling down.
Boom.
Which one do you want to do?
Mm-hmm.
And, that's a question. And I think that's a question that we can ask ourselves every morning.
Yeah.
Do I want to spiral, however you word it? Do I want to spiral up today, or do I want to, because we don't always wake up. Oh, wow, joy.
Yeah.
We can wake up in the morning going, oh, do I have to get up? That kind of thing. Mm-hmm. We all have that because that's they say statistically that over like 2/3 of the time you will wake up in either a passive or an almost negative mindset.
Yeah.
So in that first 5 minutes, you have to decide
what you're gonna do,
how you're gonna approach your day. Are you gonna be happy today, or are you gonna try to make today's gonna be a good day?
Yeah.
And then you just make sure that you engage in activities that promote that, whether it's something creative or exercise or meditation or a hobby, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Whatever that is.
And then what you have to do too, Barbara, with that, I want to add to it, you have to add and prep your environment for that too. Because what I did, like today, I'm a prime example. I got up and I was kind of tired. I feel like I just didn't get the rest. I mean, I went to sleep, but you know how you get up, sometimes you just don't feel really rested.
You don't get right.
And I had to go I had a doctor's appointment. I had to go straight to there, and I had to come right back home, get on the computer on my work, and just go boom, boom, boom. And then I was like, dang, I feel like I'm just like rushing, and now I didn't get to sleep, Then I heard myself complaining a little bit. So what did Barbara always like to hear around her? She likes to hear that soft jazz music or somebody motivating stuff. So I wanted the soft jazz because I wanted something more just soothing. I put that on, Barbara. It's just uplifted it's like the whole thing around me just was like
the energy in the room shifted.
Yes, it did.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I was shifting. I was doing like Carol, like her friend Carol. I was about to go down, boom. I didn't want to do that. I didn't need that. We don't need that.
It's a choice.
About making happiness the norm and not the exception. See, things, if you look at things, it will stay with you when you go in those routes that you don't want to go to. So every time I always reach for, most of the time, us being Christian women, I always reach for the word of God. I always remember that. Right. And then sometimes with people that motivate you and you hear them a lot, like you, Barbara, you motivate me a lot. You always say to make happiness the norm, not exception. So to this morning, I had to say, okay, Barbara, are you going to make happiness the exception here? Or are you going to be sitting here going down that spiral? So I said, no. Barbara always says, come on, we can always put happiness there. You have to make a choice. So I made a choice.
Yep, exactly.
It took a little later during the day, but I still made a choice.
But you still made it.
It was a little bit later, but yeah. And then I was thinking about what I'm doing. I said, well, the rest of the day I still got to do my job. And then I had this wonderful Time to Shine show that's coming on. We have an awesome guest, and I wanted to make sure I had that attitude that was right. So I said, okay, I need to change my whole environment here, and change the whole, because before I was just like, boom.
Right.
Yeah, I was about to go, yeah. So with that, talking about mindset and continuing growth and all that good stuff, we have our wonderful, amazing, I call the ladies when they come on, queens, a wonderful queen coming on, Miss LaWanna Bradford. And you know what? I want to make sure I introduce her correctly because she is a fireball. She has been doing
You're a powerhouse.
She is, yeah. I don't want to say little. I'm saying big. let's just put it out there, a big powerhouse. So she's a true visionary and master strategist. LaWanna Bradford, MPA, is a true visionary and master strategist with her unparalleled ability to connect the dots between strategy and fiscal stewardship. LaWanna creates an inspiring intersection that redefines what is possible. She is basically, I've been knowing her for now, I think 5 years. It's been going, maybe a little bit more than that. She's a global leader. She's a change agent. She spent over 30 years leveraging her strategic, I call it power for people. And she's been helping over many 500 companies that get to that level. She's currently serving as COO of the Bradford Group and at commercial and investment mortgage brokerage, and has thrived for an impressive 19 years. She also heads the Bradford Group Consulting and the celebrated business managed firm specializing in strategic and performing all over a decade. And she's a rising media personality. She has 3 different shows. I mean, the list can go on. I want her to make sure I do her justice, because when she comes up, I want her to talk about all of her accolades and everything and what she's doing just for the world. You know, Barbara, I always say that, you know, we're lighthouses to the world.
Yeah.
And everybody has their own light and their own, I always talk about, your inner PPD, as I always say. And she has that light and it shines so bright. So yeah, we're going to let our sponsors, give our sponsors a little bit of love here. And then we're going to bring on Miss Queen LaWanna. We'll be right back.
And although it may seem a little mundane, packing up boxes and, being on the assembly line, what we're really doing is putting in hundreds of hours into the people on the streets who need us. And they need us in a way that none of us will ever understand. And for the last couple of weeks, I've been on the grounds every day. They know we're coming today, they know we're coming tomorrow, and they look forward to seeing us because we're the one little bit of hope that they have to have a warm meal in their bellies and to know that somebody in the world is actually caring for them and loving them. And without people like you showing up today to give your time, your energy, and your spirit, none of this is possible. So I want to really say thank you to everyone, because what we're doing here today may seem small, but it's actually really, really big, and it's impacting hundreds and thousands of families. So I thank you, I love you, I look forward to doing this with you today. My name is Serena Buffalino, and I am the founder of Help Heal Humanity. Help Heal Humanity is a charity that is focused on unconditional giving, love, and support to some of the most vulnerable communities in the world.
Yay! And we are back. If you're just chiming in, you're here at the Time to Shine Happiness Show with yours truly, the BBs, myself, Barbara J. Beckley, and Barbara Ellison. And we have the wonderful queen herself, extraordinaire, Miss LaWanna Bradford in the room. Hello, lady. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Barbara, for having me.
No,
You are most welcome. Pleasure.
Yes, it's a pleasure. It's an honor. It's funny because we always get that. They be like, thank you, Barbara, and thank you, Barbara. We got to see. So we try to figure out how, when we're talking, which Barbara. But LaWanna, we all know each other here, so I know exactly we'll get through it with the two Barbaras. But anyway, lady, we truly honor and adore you, and we're so happy for you to be on the Time to Shine Happiness show. I know it's been a minute. And what we usually like to do, lady, is we always like that backstory, like, all of the accolades that you do, but we want to make sure that people know where you came from and how important it is and what you do, not just for yourself, and you're branding yourself so wonderful, but you're using, and I know there's a system you're going to talk about in a minute of how you got to that point and how you're helping others, but we want to hear how you got there first.
That's a loaded question. I've been around a while, so where do you want me to start?
Well, I know one thing with being, a strategist, because you've helped me out tremendously times with that, but I know that's a gift. That's like it's just like a gift you have. Like, how I tell people you have those gifts. You just, she could look at any company. I'm just telling everybody right now and just put a whole strategy thing for them. And they'll be like, oh, you did that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a good starting point. So, it is a gift I have. I like to call it sight, where I'm able to connect the dots. I naturally see things in patterns. So when I look at life, my lens sees patterns, and that may sound a little weird, but that's just how I see the world around me. And business is no different. So when I graduated from college, my first job, I actually got into strategy, but as a statistician. So my role back then was to look at changes that businesses were making. At this point, it was Department of Defense, coming up with new information technologies, how that was going to impact the business at large. And just, again, seeing those connections. And as a statistician, I was developing models. So again, just understanding how the pieces all fit together. And from there, I really started to develop my passion for business and understanding how business worked from end to end, from whether it's that dream and that vision, how you actualize it, to even the downside of business, when you may have to file bankruptcy because it's just not working, and everything in between. And so that's really where I came about from a professional standpoint. As a strategist, as a financial analyst, I'm certified in both areas. And then coming into business, I've had a business ever since I was 17. But my first, what I consider really big business, big brick and mortar, was shortly after college. My business partner, who is still my partner today, Rick Spann, and I, we built a licensed sporting apparel store. And for those of you who don't know, we are in Super Bowl season. So licensed sporting apparel is all your major leagues, your collegiate leagues. And so providing the jerseys, the hats, the paraphernalia. And the most exciting and biggest accomplishment, I would say, back then in my green bean days, I didn't know a lot about business, but we knew enough to be dangerous. We actually built it to $1 million company. And we sponsored a welterweight boxer, Andrew Maynard, against Tommy Hearns. Those of you who know anything about the sporting industry, at Caesar's Palace. So we were doing pretty good for 20-year-old kids. And then from there, I ended up getting married, and my husband and I started our consulting firm. And now I have two businesses. Yeah, at that time, let me say I was a dualpreneur, still working corporate and as well as a business. And then from there, after my husband and I switched lanes, going from the corporate side to doing entrepreneurship full time. I have two companies, the Bradford Group, which is a commercial investment mortgage company celebrating 19 years. And then the Bradford Group Consulting, we are going on 14 years of business. So that's me in a nutshell. A lot more to pepper in there, but I've been around a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, but I love the fact you talked that you were continuously growing. And that's what Barbara and I talked about in the first half. It's like, be continuously growing and don't be afraid to try something new. And I can almost imagine, I can almost say without question that you probably had some things that didn't quite work while you were growing, and yet you're here.
Yeah,
exactly.
And yeah. And don't let the things that don't go quite as well stop you.
Yeah, I was just thinking that too. I was going to add on before LaWanna was going to continue that. It's nice that we always talk about, you can either make a choice. Either you're going to, say, I'm going to do this, keep it moving, or I want to say, maybe this is not it. I'm just going to keep it on this little whatever. And you could tell in every moment, even the down valleys that you had, you still was like, you know what? No, I'm just not going to let this take me. I'm going to take it. It's like somebody told me just a few days ago, she had a picture and it was so awesome. She had a picture of a hand and it was global. It has a global in there, and it had a little chaos in the middle of it. And I said, well, what does that mean? I asked her, I said, what does that mean? She said, I'm taking my low valleys, my catastrophes in my life, I'm taking it by the hand. And I was like, wow. And just to see that, and I could see, when I hear that, I see like you, LaWanna, and me, how we do that. It's just like either life can take you by it or you can take it. You have to make that decision.
Yeah, exactly. And I always tell people, when you're in business, if you're in it long enough, you're going to go through some valleys. I mean, you may have lawsuits, you may have customer complaints, you may have a takeover. It just all depends on what your business is doing and how it's growing. But the point is, you have to be agile, flexible, and adaptable. And Barbara's heard me say this all the time. It's repositioning to remain relevant. And that's one of the things that I talk to both billion-dollar companies about, as well as small businesses. How do you do that? I mean, right now, I know you have a global audience, but for the world is looking at the United States right now. There's a lot of changes that impact our country, but it also has an impact to other countries. And our small businesses are the engine to our economies, plural. And so many of them are kind of wondering, well, what is this going to mean to me? If we have tariffs on this end, is it going to impact my suppliers, which then I'm going to have to pass those costs on to my customers. So there's a lot of buzz, a lot of concern. But I always tell people the one thing that's inevitable is change. It's constant. It's always going to happen. So get used to it, buckle up for the ride, and control what you can control.
Yeah.
That's all you can do.
And I love that you said that, LaWanna, because control what you can, but let go of the stuff you can't. Don't try to hold on to the things that you have no control over. And don't you find that sometimes so many people do that? They try, but if I just, it's like, no, let it go.
Yeah, if I could just get this square peg
into this round hole,
I'm gonna do it.
You'd be like,
yeah, and that's where stress comes. And look at what it does to our health, our mental, our physical, emotional health. Life's too short.
Yeah,
let it go. As Barbara always says, find your way to woosah, get your anchor, and just move, just flow.
Yes. Yeah. I'm so glad you brought that up, Barbara. I mean, Barbara was about to say something about health, because I know I've been saying it on our show lately that, last year was like I had like three in a row, like boom, boom, boom. And I had to really be honest with myself and say, okay, where did all this come from? First I was just like, wait a minute. This is crazy. Then I was to blame a little bit. Then somebody said, well, you're getting older. I'm like, you know what? I want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. I know people in their 70s and 90s that are more whatever than I am. So it's not that. Something, the core, there's a root here that's causing me that back to back to back. And I found out that I wasn't loving on me and I wasn't taking care of me. I was staying up late, burning both candles at both ends, I was letting a lot of stress get to me, didn't even realize it was stress, but it was, and just got sick. So you're so right that, we only live, we need to enjoy our lives. And a lot of times we can stop the madness of some things that we're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, I do strategic insights where I come on most days and just gives quick little tips on things to consider. And one day I came on and I just told people, stop working, just stop. And I got so many comments like, what do you mean stop? I'm like, really? Let it go. Stopping for a day is not going to make or break your business. It really is. It's not.
You got everybody alarmed.
They're like, what's going on?
What you mean stop working? Oh my God, I gotta stop. See, right there shows you that they needed to hear that, because they're just like,
Yeah, and one of the things that you and I have talked about before was one time I was absolutely struggling, and Barb knows what I'm going to say, absolutely struggling with something and struggling with it and struggling with it. And finally it was like, okay, Lord, why am I struggling with this so much? What is wrong with me that I'm struggling with this so much? And the answer came into my being and said, because you're not supposed to be doing it. Oh, what?
That's a good point. That's huge.
And that was huge for me. And so now if I'm really starting to struggle with something, okay, Lord, I mean, I've gotten much faster at saying, okay, am I supposed to be doing this? Yes or no? If I am supposed to be doing it, then okay, Barbara, buckle down and learn.
Right.
Perfect. But if you're not supposed to be doing it, like you just said before, let go of the things that you can't control.
Exactly. Yeah, we shouldn't be spending our time trying to push that wet noodle up a mountain.
Yeah.
I have pushed a lot of wet noodles. I've been trying to push. I've been there.
Exactly.
It's crazy. Yeah. And then what's so bad about it, sometimes I'm going to tell myself, it's not maybe 1 or 2 hours that I've been trying to push that noodle. It's been sometimes 9 or 10. Okay, everybody talk about me after that, because I've been, I was like, I gotta get this, because in my mind I'm like, I gotta, it's always I want to, accomplish it. I want to get it. I want to get it. And then when I see somebody else do it, it seems like you push me more. It's like, they did it, I can do it too. Let me get it. And then all this time, and like I just said, somebody like LaWanna, I could have gave over to her. She finished it 30 minutes, and this has happened in real time with me and her on some project. Yeah. I give it to her. She's done. She sent it to me. She said, here you go. And I spent 10 hours. I'm like, oh. Yep. So that you have to think about, what things that you said that you need to be doing, and what things you can delegate and be open, have the trust factor to a certain extent. You have to have the trust factor there, that if you give it to somebody else, they're going to do it. And then it's going to help you in the long run, because now you're going to focus on things that you kind of should be focusing on more than just, that other thing that took 10 hours. Yeah.
Well, I like what you said about the trust, and I think it reflects back to you. If you have to do everything, you feel like you have to have oversight, you have to micromanage everything, you're the one that has the issue. And you have to do some introspection. Why is it? Why am I so resistant in accepting, different ideas, different ways of doing things? Why do I have to dictate how everything is done, and I have to oversee everything? Because when you spend so much time doing that, you're not operating in your zone of genius.
Right. You're not doing what you're called to do, because you're trying to micromanage everybody else.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there's a certain thing that, I again, going back to I use myself so I don't get nobody else upset. That there's a reason why there's a deeper, and I always say this when I'm talking, there's that deep-rooted thing going on somewhere, why you're holding on to everything, because maybe you do have trust issues with people, or maybe you were hurt, or something happened back in the past somewhere where you did give somebody something and they just totally just whatever. So now you're just like this, and you're like, no, yeah, I can't even send an invitation for you for somebody. No, you might send the wrong email. It gets to that point that you have to really let this thing go. But you have to, first of all, deal with yourself on why you're not releasing certain things. Yeah.
And if I can just add something there, because for me, I have such a high standard of excellence. I think growing up in a military household. It just was. But I had to learn to have grace, right? It's like, let the team know, okay, this is a standard. This is what we're all working toward. But everyone may not work the way LaWanna works, and it's okay. And I found that when I give people grace and latitude, they rise to the occasion every time. But if I am just, this disciplinarian, it's got to be this way at this time, then people start to work smaller instead of expansively, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And chances are they get less done because they're not as productive because I think it kind of settles in on each level as it goes down, because as they're feeling the pressure, you're feeling the pressure, they're feeling your pressure, and now the person under the job that they're doing under the person under them is feeling the pressure, and it just absolutely. One time I did a study on productivity, and that was one of the biggest things that they talked about, is that the management has to trust the person underneath, and that person has to trust the person underneath and make sure they're well trained. Absolutely. But give them grace while you're training them.
Yeah.
Right. And also making sure, if I can just say this, that everyone's on the same page. Like if there is a vision, that everyone's bought into it. I remember Barbara and I had a conversation about an individual we were working with, and I thought everyone was on the same page. And this person said, "This feels like a job to me." And I'm thinking, a job? I mean, my gosh, this is a movement. This is exciting. But for them, they had never bought in. But I didn't take the time to check to see if they had bought in. I just made the assumption you're there, you're contributing, but they resented it.
Right. Yeah, and that's where you really have to say, "Oh my God, if we get to that point, we do need to see if you're on the same spot." And it's okay for people to say, "You know what? Maybe I'm not on this certain vision, and I'm gonna bow back, or I'm gonna leave," and that's okay. Because that happens in life. Things changes. You have to do your thing. They got to do theirs. And you don't want somebody on your team that really is not on that vision. So you just got to make those choices. They have to make those choices.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Miss Queen, I want to get back because you did throw in some, and I want you to talk a little bit more before we run out of time about the R3 system. That's been, to me, that's like a movement.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear that. So
see, you got us now.
Yeah, I'm real excited because this, and I'm bringing up Super Bowl again, because last year at this time I was actually at Super Bowl in Vegas, and it was my first huge debut of the R3 system. And since then, it's just growing like wildfire. In fact, this month alone, we're only in day 4. I've already had 5 interviews, 5 on major networks and about the R3 system, because it's a change management system, but it's also strategy. So just in a nutshell, strategic planning is, very simply put, this is where I am, this is where I want to go, and then I come up with something that I hope will get me there. But where the R3 comes in, that's sort of like the secret sauce. It's saying, okay, that's great. We have this continuum here. But what if there's a lot of yuck happening? What if there's changes that you don't want to have happen are happening all around you? We can all relate to that because that's what's going on right now. What do you do?
What do you do?
Well, the first thing is you don't move. You refocus. And the refocus isn't solely about, well, yes, that's the vision. That's where I want to go. Because if it were that simple, everyone would be rocking and rolling in business.
Right.
It's more than that. And I'm going to simplify all of this, but I unpackage and show folks how to do this. But it goes to really understanding who you are, all your gifts, all your talents, the resources and partnerships that you have. Looking for those intersects. So think about that Venn diagram, those overlaps. You don't want to focus on all the outline parts. You want to focus on that sweet spot, the intersect, right? So now you have that laser focus. You become very myopic. From there, you're able to truly see the opportunity and the chaos. because now all the noise, all the distortion from all the other stuff happening sort of fades away. So it's like really getting to that in not just this mindset exercise, and I'm not taking that lightly, but really from a business application standpoint. Once you have that, once you're refocused, right, and you're committed to that, now the thing is, okay, well, I'm here, but there's still all this change going on. You have to identify, when we say reframe, that's the second R, am I doing what works? It may have worked 2 years ago, but it may be feeling a little difficult now. Why is that? Why was it ease before? Now it's very stagnant, or feels like it's like staccato. What's going on? Well, it's okay to give yourself permission to say, you know what? That was good, but I'm going to reframe. Notice I didn't say pivot, because pivot means you've turned direction. Right. So if you're refocused and you know, yes, this is where I'm going, if you're pivoting, you're not turning back on where you said you're going, right? So you're still that laser focus, but reframing is how I'm doing is it's going to shift. Like Martin Luther King Jr. said, what is your life's blueprint? So the R3 works in business and life. And when you develop your own framework, your own lane, if you will, you've established the parameters, the rules. You determine who's in that lane and who's not. And if someone's in your lane that it's not working well, it doesn't feel right, then as George Fraser says, you bless and release them. Right. But the amazing thing about this lane concept, this reframing, is the ownership that comes with it. Because when you reframe something, when you design it, think about that architect, that building's going up, that they have that blueprint and their name is all on it, right? Coming soon. They have basically planted their flag in whatever it is they're about to develop until it comes to pass. And that's what you're doing when you are reframing. And you realize that no one is in your lane but you only compete with you. And that's a different mindset, because we are always taught in business, what's the competition doing? Yeah. That's just another person in another lane who happens to be selling a burger. I'm selling burgers too, but I'm selling burgers in my lane, right? In the way I want to do it, to the audience I want to focus on. And then the recommit, for me, that was the most difficult part of it, because reconnecting is about recommitting. I can intend all day long. Intention doesn't get me anywhere. Intention comes with excuses, right? Because I can say, I want to do this, but any excuse will do. Well, this happened, that happened. But when you are committed, as Abraham Hicks says, when you are tapped in, tuned, and sold out for whatever that thing is, nothing ever distracts you. You sound the same. Your walk is the same. I mean, if people listen to me now, I've been saying, and you go back and look at my videos 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, same message, bigger stage. It's the only difference, right? So that's the R3. It's about refocusing, designing your lane, reframing, and then reconnecting is that commitment, because people follow commitment. They want leaders who commit. And I believe at that point, that's when opportunity intersects with your vision. Success is inevitable. May not be when you want it,
right?
But it will be there.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Great analogy. Yeah, great wording. Because it's absolutely
great.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a mic drop, as Barb says. Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. And I love how you can use it in any fashion. Like you said, LaWanna, you can, not in the business, but you can even use it in your personal life. I mean, it's something that system can work in any kind of capacity that you want to do.
Right. It was actually born out of my personal tragedy. It wasn't born from a business lane. It was born from LaWanna's life of hell and coming back out of that. And I realized, wait a minute, there's a process that I've used. It seemed like everything that was hitting me, from from divorce to, my brother leaving me in business, to the 2007, 2008, needing mom and dad to literally take care of my mortgage so I wouldn't be homeless, being sued by Chase Bank, diagnosed with cancer. I thought, I'm applying a certain principle every single time. And I just took the time to start comparing it. And I thought, oh, I see what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
So everything I'm sharing with you, I do literally daily now. It's automatic. It's just like, issue happens. If I feel that tension, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, let me pause.
Mm-hmm.
Let me quickly do a R3. What can I control? Okay, what can't I control?
Mm-hmm.
Let it go. Give it to God. Next.
Yeah. And LaWanna, this is absolutely, you have put, and I think we all, in some, those of us that are in the personally developing our personal selves, I can see the times that I have done exactly what, but I never had the words for it, of what, and yet I can look back and go, you know what, that kind of, what LaWanna just said just kind of fits.
Yeah.
I can think of a couple of instances where, oh yeah, that's exactly what I did.
Yeah.
And that's when you have the right system. When something, and just like, oh, I'm gonna,
Mm-hmm. And see, like you were blessed to where it became intuitive in you, but that's your lane, right? That's your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Most people don't have it.
Yeah.
So now it's like, how do I give you this tool so you can have life and business success? That's what it is at the end of the day for me. That's my why.
Yeah, I love that why. And what I like about it too is, like you said, LaWanna, a lot of people don't. And I'm one of those people that I was on the personal end, I was kind of trying to work things out. But then the business part, I really needed this system too. So I was like, oh, it's like a light bulb came up when you were telling me about this R3. I was like, oh, I didn't. So you just framed it. Okay, reframe. See, it's part of the R3 in a way that now it makes it so, and I'm not trying to dumb myself down or anything, but made it so, it's so, you can tell it to anybody and they understand it. It's like, that's how it was. That's why I love this system, because I don't know who you're talking to when you talk to them, LaWanna, about it. It's really understandable. And sometimes it might have been there in their mind, but they just didn't know, like how Barbara said, how to put it together. Yeah.
How to apply it.
Yeah.
How to apply it.
Yes. Yeah. And the beauty is it's customizable. So this isn't an in the box, off the shelf thing. I'm giving you principles.
Right.
But all three of us could sit right now and go through a 2-day exercise and walk away with a completely different blueprint. Because it's our unique lives, our experiences. You're pulling from all of this, but in a systematized way. So that's what I bring to you. I create order in the chaos.
Yes, because there's a lot of, like you said, especially now. Well, it's been, we're not gonna. I know I'm not gonna go down. That's a whole nother show. But you understand.
But I mean, it's anything. I mean, just life can be happening. Life is lifing, right? Whatever it is.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. How do you find your center of control?
Right.
Yeah. Wow. I wanted to ask another question, but I know that's going to go into some more time. And I'm like, dang, I want to ask this question. But
we're just going to have to bring LaWanna back.
That's what I'm saying. Yes. She has so much wealth to share and wisdom, and I love it. And like I said, please reach out to this wonderful lady. LaWanna, can you tell them exactly where they can reach out to you?
All things social media by my name, LaWanna Bradford, or my website, lawannabradford.com. Pretty easy.
See? Why make things difficult? Like you said, just relevant to people. The name, right? Wow. So with that, Barbara, any last words? And Queen LaWanna, thank you again for coming on our show. We're honored, and we would love to have you back when you have the time. I know Barbara works on that end of it, so I know she'll definitely be contacting you to see how your schedule looks. But Barbara, any last thoughts?
I think the biggest thing is just take to heart what LaWanna just talked about, because it can apply to, and don't be ashamed. That's not the right word. Be aware that it can be something small that's going on in your life, something medium or something big. and yet the same process applies. So embrace it. Start with something small.
Yeah, and learn from it.
And then learn and tackle the bigger things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well,
Okay.
Thank you both. I appreciate the time.
We appreciate you, Queen. And again, we come on every Wednesday morning, 8:00 Central Time, 9:00 Eastern Time. I always got to think about those time zones. So we will see you next Wednesday with another special guest. But as we always say, what you always say, Barbara?
Because make happiness the norm rather than the exception. Absolutely. And it's a choice every day.
Yes. See you next week. Bye.
Well, goodbye, everybody. And thank you so much for listening to the Time to Shine Happiness Show. I'm your host, Barbara Ellison, and I look forward to seeing you next time, where we will have a great guest talking about making happiness the norm rather than the exception. Because, you know, we believe that each and every one of us deserves to lead a happy, healthy, debt-free, abundant life, whatever that means to you. So join us again. And please, to get reminded, hit the subscribe button or the like button wherever you're listening to us. And we will see you next time. Have a great week. Bye, everybody.